Congratulations, Claudia. The house is officially yours. That sentence rang in my ears like a bomb dropped in the middle of my grandmother's living room. Mr. Brooks, our family attorney, closed the folder and pushed it across the table. Claudia grinned like she'd just won the lottery. I sat there, hands folded in my lap, trying to keep my face from crumbling. It was supposed to be mine. The house, the garden Mama Ruth and I planted every spring, the little library nook by the window, I helped build this life. But now, my aunt sat smug across from me, manicured fingers tapping the table as if claiming territory. Outside, the roses I helped prune were blooming under the sun. Inside, my world was collapsing in silence. I didn't scream. I didn't argue. I just blinked and whispered, "So that's how it's going to be." My name is Jasmine Carter, and I was raised in this house by the woman who taught me everything, Mama Ruth. After my mother passed when I was 9, my grandmother stepped in like an oak tree during a storm, steady, rooted, and fiercely protective. We weren't rich, but we had love, discipline, and plenty of cornbread. I was the girl who scrubbed the porch every Saturday morning and helped my grandmother run her tiny candle-making business out of the garage. When I wasn't studying or working after school, I was sitting beside her in the living room, learning to pour wax or listening to stories about how she built the house brick by brick with Grandpa. Claudia, Mama Ruth's daughter, my aunt, rarely visited. She lived in Atlanta, wore silk blouses and fake smiles, and only came around when money was involved. I still remember the first time she called me the help during a Christmas dinner. Mama Ruth had nearly smacked her with a wooden spoon. But now, that woman sat in the home she didn't lift a finger to maintain, signing papers like she owned the past. What stung most wasn't the property, it was what it represented. This house was the only place I ever felt safe. I used to lie on the living room rug, watching dust float through the morning sunbeams, dreaming of turning the upstairs into a wellness studio someday. Mama Ruth always said, "This home will be your anchor, baby. One day, it'll all be yours." I believed her. I had no reason not to. We'd even talked to Mr. Brooks last year. He said the paperwork was simple and that everything would pass to me smoothly. I didn't see the twist coming. Not until after the funeral, when Claudia suddenly started showing up with real estate agents, smiling sweetly and whispering about what Mama would have wanted. Turns out, a month before she passed, Mama Ruth's will was changed. And I wasn't even in it. I didn't cry that day. I went home, pulled out a dusty file from the bottom drawer of my desk, and smiled. Claudia thought she'd played the long game. But what she didn't know, what no one knew, was that Mama Ruth and I had made a backup plan. 6 months before her health took a sharp turn, we went to the bank together. Mama Ruth had insisted on transferring a separate account solely to me, her savings from the candle business, investments I didn't even know she had, and a letter in her handwriting sealed in a safety envelope. For Jasmine, when the time is right. That envelope now sat heavy in my palm as I stepped out of the lawyer's office. Inside was a note. Just one sentence. "Baby girl, if they ever try to take what's yours, build something bigger." And that's exactly what I did. 3 weeks later, I sat across from a real estate agent in Buckhead, Georgia, where Claudia's dream house was listed for sale. It had just hit the market after falling into foreclosure. Lavish, oversized, gaudy as hell, exactly her style. I slid the cashier's check across the table without blinking. "Let's make it official," I said. The agent blinked in surprise. "You sure about this?" I smiled. Absolutely. Claudia didn't know it yet, but her dream house? It now belonged to me. The knock on Claudia's door came precisely at 10 a.m. on a Thursday. She opened it wearing a silk robe, hair in curlers, and a look of impatient annoyance on her face until her eyes landed on me. "Jasmine? What the hell are you doing here?" I held up the envelope. "I figure it's time we had a proper talk, homeowner to homeowner." Her eyes narrowed. "Excuse me? I bought this house," I said calmly. "Cash." She let out a sharp laugh. "You can't be serious." I handed her the deed and watched her face contort as she read the signature at the bottom. Her lips moved silently, and for once, she was speechless. "But This is my house. I've been negotiating to buy it back from the bank. You had months to fix that.
You didn't.
It went on the market, and I bought it. I paused, letting the words sink in. Legally. Just like you legally got Mama Ruth's house. The color drained from her face. Her composure cracked. You're doing this to humiliate me, she hissed. You've always been jealous. Always wanted what I had. Jealous. I raised a brow. Of what? The plastic trophies on your shelf, or the way you slithered back into the family the moment money was involved? Her voice rose. That house was mine by blood. You were just the help. I clenched my jaw, but my voice stayed even. I took care of Mama Ruth when you couldn't even pick up the phone. I cooked her meals, changed her sheets, read to her every night. She raised me, and I honored her. Claudia's eyes glistened, whether from anger or shame. I couldn't tell. I needed that inheritance, she spat. I have bills, Jasmine. Real problems. We all have problems, I said quietly. But not all of us use grief as a currency. Behind her, I spotted Marcus, her son, my cousin, lingering near the stairs. His face was pale. He'd heard everything. Mom, is it true? He asked. You changed Grandma's will? Claudia spun toward him. You don't understand. She was getting confused and… But you knew Jasmine was supposed to get the house, he said, voice trembling. She lived there. She was Grandma's daughter more than you ever were. For a moment, Claudia looked like a deflated balloon, collapsing under the weight of truth. I didn't mean for it to go this way, she whispered. I know, I said. But you let it happen anyway. Marcus walked down the stairs slowly, then looked at me. You buying this house? Grandma would have loved that. I think so too, I said. Claudia stormed to the foyer, grabbing her purse. You think you've won?
Fine.
Enjoy your little victory. I'm leaving. I didn't stop her. I didn't need to. As the door slammed behind her, the silence in that lavish foyer felt like justice. Marcus and I stood there for a long moment. Then he said, you know, she always talked about this house like it was the finish line. She treated Mama Ruth's house the same way, I said. Like it was a trophy. But it wasn't, he replied. It was a home. And she never really understood that. I smiled faintly, but I did. For weeks after Claudia left, the house was quiet. Too quiet. I walked through the halls of her old dream home, my house now, and something strange began to happen. The grandeur, the chandeliers, the glossy floors, none of it felt like me. It felt hollow, like stepping into someone else's ego. But I didn't regret the purchase, because it wasn't about the house.
It was about what it meant.
Mama Ruth had always told me, baby, some wins ain't about money. They're about reminding the world who you are. I spent the first few days cleaning. Not because it was dirty, Claudia kept it spotless, but because I needed to scrub out her energy. I lit one of Mama's old lavender candles in the master bedroom and whispered, this one's for you. By the second week, I had contractors coming in, not to renovate, but to transform. I turned the sitting room into a reading lounge, the garage into a community art space, and the backyard into a small greenhouse project I'd dreamed about since college. I wasn't interested in showing off wealth. I wanted to build something that could grow. Meanwhile, Claudia tried to save face. She went online, told people she'd gifted me the house to mend family wounds. Some folks believed her. Most didn't. I didn't care. I wasn't in this for revenge that needed witnesses. The only witness I ever needed was gone, and she was watching from somewhere better. Then came the unexpected call from Elena, my best friend from college. I heard about the house, she said, excitement bubbling in her voice. You actually did it. Yeah, I smiled. It's wild. You know what I'm gonna say next, right? I laughed. Yes, come visit. Yes, I have room. Yes, bring wine. A week later, Elena arrived. We stayed up until 2 a.m. on the back porch, sipping rose and talking about dreams that once felt impossible. At one point, she got quiet and said, "You're different, Jazz. Not harder, just stronger." I nodded. That's what surviving betrayal does to you. You stop needing to be right. You just start needing to be free.
We toasted to that.
Then, something unexpected happened again. Marcus came by. I saw his car outside and thought maybe Claudia had sent him. But when I opened the door, he held up a basket, lemons, herbs, a few candles. "I'm not here for her," he said quickly. "I just wanted to thank you." "For what?" "For not letting her win," he said. "And for letting me see who she really was." He told me how he'd moved out, started therapy, and was looking into teaching music again, something he gave up years ago under his mother's pressure. "That's the thing about cycles," I said. "Someone has to be brave enough to break them." He looked around the space. "It feels different in here already. Warmer." I smiled. "That's because no one's pretending anymore." Before he left, I handed him one of Mama Ruth's old candles, vanilla and cedarwood, her favorite. "She'd be proud of you," he said. "I sincere." "I hope so." After that day, the house truly began to feel like mine, not because of what it cost, but because of what I was building inside it. I started a mentorship program for young women looking to start home-based businesses, baking, crafts, yoga, whatever their dream was. I named it the Ruth Foundation. It felt right. One Saturday morning, as I was setting up for a community brunch, I saw a woman standing outside the gate.
Claudia.
Dressed in neutral tones this time. Hair pulled back. No makeup. Just quiet. I opened the gate, but said nothing. She didn't step in. "I came to say sorry," she said. "Not just for the house. For everything." I looked at her, waiting. She continued, "I wanted what Mama had, but I didn't want to do the work. I thought if I could take it from you, I could own her love too. But I see now. I never understood her. You did." It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't tearful. It was just raw. I nodded once. "I don't hate you, Claudia." She looked surprised. "I never did," I added. "But I don't trust you. That's something you'll have to earn." She lowered her eyes. "I get that. I just hope someday we can be something that isn't broken." "Maybe," I said. "But not today." And I closed the gate gently. Not out of anger. Out of peace. 6 months later, the house didn't just look different. It felt like something reborn. The walls, once echoing with cold ambition, now hummed with life. Every Sunday morning, the smell of cinnamon rolls and coffee drifted from the kitchen out to the wraparound porch, where folding chairs waited for women who came not for judgment, but for healing. They came from all walks of life, single moms, college dropouts, retired nurses, aspiring chefs, and we gathered in the living room Claudia used to call her trophy space. Now, it was a circle of strength. We shared stories, goals, and pain. Sometimes we laughed, sometimes we cried. But we always left stronger. The Ruth Foundation had grown faster than I imagined. A local magazine even did a feature calling me the healer of Buckhead. I didn't care for the title.
I was no saint.
But I had learned that healing doesn't always come with halos. Sometimes it comes from surviving betrayal and still choosing not to burn everything down. The greenhouse was my favorite place. There, under soft golden light and the scent of rosemary and mint, I felt closest to Mama Ruth. I kept a framed photo of her near the basil, a picture from the 80s where she wore a denim apron and a tired smile, holding up one of her first candle batches. I often heard her voice in moments of silence. "Don't let pain make you petty, baby. Let it make you precise."
It had.
One bright morning, I hosted a small garden brunch. Elena was there, helping me plate scones. Marcus showed up with a guitar slung over his back. He'd started teaching lessons at the community center and looked freer than I'd ever seen him.
Even his laugh had changed.
"Can you believe this used to be my mom's dream house?" he joked. I smiled. "And now it's a place where dreams start, not end." We raised glasses of fresh lemonade in a toast. "To legacy," I said. "To healing," Elena added. "To women who know their worth," said one of the younger girls in the program, barely 20, eyes full of fire. Later that evening, as I cleaned up alone, I heard soft footsteps at the gate.
Claudia.
Again. But this time, She didn't wear fake apologies or designer handbags. Just jeans and a sweater. She held out a small wooden box. "I found this in Mama's storage unit," she said. "Figured it belonged to you more than me." Inside was a faded recipe card, Mama Ruth's peach cobbler instructions, written in her slanted cursive, stained with cinnamon and love. My throat tightened. "I remember the day she wrote this," I said quietly. "She said one day I'd make it for my own family." Claudia looked down. "Maybe I'll never fully make things right, but I want to try." I didn't say yes. But I didn't say no either. "Thank you," I said, taking the box gently. She nodded and left without another word. That night, I lit a candle and made peach cobbler. I ate it alone on the porch, wrapped in a blanket, watching the sky change colors. The scent drifted through the air like a prayer answered. And as the sun set behind the greenhouse, I realized something powerful. My revenge had never been about taking something from Claudia. It had been about reclaiming myself. The girl who scrubbed floors and dared to dream. The young woman who thought love alone protected you from betrayal. And now, the woman who knew her value and chose to build something beautiful, not from spite, but from wisdom. People often ask if I'd sell the house. I always smile. "No," I say. "I didn't buy it to own it. I bought it to transform it." And every time I water the thyme, or help a young girl write her first business plan, I know Mama Ruth would be proud. She didn't just leave me a house. She left me a legacy. And I turned it into a future.